Hi everyone, welcome to this video commentary of the making of Celestia's General Workday. I don't have a script, so sorry if I stutter or stammer or rant a bit because I'm just trying to explain things as they go. I have an idea of what to say though, at least. So to start, I'm gonna explain how Celestia's General Workday came to be. But to do that, we have to go way back to, let's see, I want to say February 2012. Back then, I had just released Luna's General Workday, and I was getting offers to do projects with other people. I explained that in the previous video, but the case here is that I accepted one person's offer because that person was also actually doing work on that project instead of expecting me to do everything for them. Unfortunately, that project was roughly, let's see, 4-minute animation, something like that. In fact, let me go here to my library. You guys see all these props, the flags, the Nightmare Night props, templates, tweens. All of this stuff is from that animation I worked on a long time ago. All of these ponies, which are all characters that I did all by myself, even though they're kind of generic models of the ponies. All this stuff is stuff I made for that one animation that unfortunately has never been finished. I basically put it on hiatus. I want to say it's half done, but it's probably going to take more work than that because it's so many cutscenes that need to be animated. Whatever the case, in 2014, I hadn't completely written off the animation just yet, but I was working on it slowly. I wanted to work on an animation, but I just didn't want to work on the animation that was still going to take months for me to finish. So that's when I got the idea to make this Celestia's General Workday movie animation thing. It was originally planned to only take one weekend for me to finish it, because I had actually done a similar animation like that before that only took me one weekend to finish, because it only reused assets that I had already created. That animation back then was Luna watches the Luna watches the Equestria Girls video, the movie, something like that. And in case some of you were there at 2014, that's when, around the same time when Equestria Girls 2, the second movie, was announced. There was no commercial or advertising videos just yet, but there was a document proving that. And that's when I got the idea to do a sequel to Luna watches the Equestria Girls video. Yeah, so yeah, Celestia's General Workday is a sham. What it really is, it's Celestia watches the Equestria Girls video. That's what it was supposed to be way back then. Oh, but of course, Celestia watched the Equestria Girls video. That could never happen because it took way more than one weekend for me to finish it. It's called Celestia's General Workday now because I couldn't actually make it Celestia watches the Equestria Girls video because the second movie was already out at then. In fact, the third movie was out by the time I was done. Whatever the case, I had to brainstorm to because the way I was working on this animation, it was malleable. It didn't necessarily have to be about the Equestria Girls video or something like that, which is why I got the idea to, instead of using that, I would instead use my Little Bloopers documentary video to sort of spread the message that I wasn't really doing my Little Bloopers anymore. Check my Dailymotion account. I have all of my old Mal Bloopers stuff there, as well as the best stuff videos. Now that I've revealed this mystery surrounding this animation, how it doesn't feel at all like it could have been Celestia's General Workday, let's delve into how much work I had to put into this to actually finish it, especially compared to Luna watches the Equestria Girls video. Now, this isn't the first scene I worked on. The castle scene, the very first scene. This is a scene I absolutely had in mind when I thought of this animation. But it was so easy to do that I kept it for last. And in fact, it only took me like 10 minutes to finish. This is an image, by the way. This background, it's actually an image. Let me see. Which image is it from? It doesn't say. Unfortunately, I don't have a source on this image, but it is from someone else. The only thing I did for this image is that I animated the flags, as some you might see right there, because I didn't want it to be too stiff. Unfortunately, I did not animate the water, so if you pay careful attention, you'll notice that the water is not animated at all. And in case some of you are wondering how the camera is working here, I'm using something called VCam. It's one of the layers right here. I use a special code to make it work. What it does is that it allows you to have a camera that you can use to do specific neat shots in Flash. See, there's a code right here to make it work. Let me see if I can pop it up. Okay, right here. This is the code attached to the camera. Function, cam control, stuff. Yeah, lots of stuff to this. But it's extremely useful for what it is. The only drawback to VCam is that on the first frame, it's not active. When you finish the movie, on the first frame, it won't be active. At least in some shots. So, because of that, you'll want to have like the first 5 frames of the scene to be empty or not active if you want it to, you know, use it well. Because otherwise, it's going to be the full shot, and then the next frame it's going to be whatever you have the camera on. Now, moving on to the next scene, the intro. This is the actual first scene I started on. It's a pretty neat background you guys are seeing right there, but it's not mine. Actually, no, it is mine, but it's very, very, not loosely. It's very much a ripoff of someone else's work. In fact, originally I was just going to use someone else's background for this scene because it would have saved me a lot of time, but I could not, Flash would not render it. I think it's because the file size was too big. In fact, let me look up that picture right now. I still have it. Oh, actually, I just figured out. This image, it's actually from MLP Vector Collabs on DeviantArt. I think. That's what it says, anyway. And this is the background that I was originally going to use. Celestia's Throne Room background by Tamalesiatole. Sorry if I misspelled that, but that's how your name is written. Kind of similar, but not quite the same. I actually reused quite a few of my resources from Under the Moon, the animation that I never finished, to complete this background. Anyway, looking at the first scene, what I envision is Celestia on her throne watching a TV, a humongous wireless TV, because unlike her sister, she lives the high life. And she's also controlling it with a mouse right here. It's actually, it is a TV, but it's also a computer screen, both at the same time. It's magic. I don't have to explain anything. Anyway, if you zoom in right there, no plugging required. I doubt anyone was able to notice that, because the final video was unfortunately in 720p. And originally I was going to make it 1080p, but alas, it was not to be. And also, another thing that I wanted was that the animation would be 60 frames per second, but no, I started in 30 frames per second because I was sure that the way I was going to record the footage was going to be in 30 frames per second, and well, in the end, that's how it turned out to be. Anyway, the first scene, the animation was very, very basic. You can see that the mouse is moving, and Celestia's hair is shimmering and all of that. Tons of basic template stuff that was provided to me. So when it came to envisioning this project for me to finish it in one weekend, what I had planned for the very first scene was not overly tough. Quite easy too, in fact. Nothing too big, nothing too complicated. Like, if the background I downloaded had actually worked, this scene could probably be finished in 1 hour. Maybe even less. Scene number 2 is actually very simple, but unfortunately, this was not an easy scene to make because there were lots of stuff I had to create in advance for a later scene. Because this is just a computer screen, it's literally just 1 frame. But in case some of you haven't noticed the thing under there, that's the cannon that appears later on. I had to do that in advance, and I also had to do the entire background all by myself. All of this that you're seeing, I had to do all of that. There were lots of resources that I reused, like the windows and the pillars, but it still took me quite a bit of time to just get this all right. Not to mention the reflecting floor. That's a trick that was a bit difficult for me to pull off. It was quite complicated. I think the problem was the carpet. I had to, because it opens up later on, so the reflection kind of, it was kind of impossible to pull off, especially with the cannon coming from underground. Anyway, but that's for later. Scene number 2. It's still the same background and everything from the first scene, but the camera is zoomed in all the way over here. So this, you guys see the camera symbol? That's all we're really seeing, even though the cake is already to the right there. The cake I did myself. It was based on an actual cake from the show. It was not complicated at all. In fact, actually, I'm kind of disappointed in my cake. I wanted to make it a bit bigger with a banana on top of it because I sure love referring to bananas when I'm using Celestia. But I wanted to keep it simple because, again, this was supposed to be a project that I would have finished in one weekend. So let's see the animation playing. So the cake comes onto camera, and just at the same time, Celestia's eyes notice it. There's a fairly neat head rotation done right here. Head rotations is probably one of the biggest time consumers of this project. I wanted it to be so smooth every time, and every time because of that I had to hand animate it myself. I don't believe there's one single head turn that I actually reused. Anyway, Celestia right here does this neat bite that I did. You can even see Celestia's teeth if you look carefully, both the bottom and the top. And just as she bites it, there's tons of crumbs that you can notice. I actually hand animated all of those as well. They even crumble as she eats it. But it's impossible to notice in the final video. So that was a waste of time. At the very least, you guys can notice that the bite she took. And it was surprisingly difficult to animate this, by the good way, because it's two separate objects. Celestia and the cake. Animating two objects interacting with each other takes quite a bit of effort. So this scene took a bit longer to do than I expected. And there's actually a bit of a disappointment I have with the final result. When Celestia, she at this point, the TV is playing my Mal Bloopers documentary, and I'm saying that I'm stopping doing the Mal Bloopers forever. And Celestia's ears twitch, which indicates that she just heard that. She really should have had a stretch and squash with her head, right there. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen. But I think at some point I did actually do it, but because of how long this project took, Flash kind of canceled it at some point. I don't know, but whatever the case, there really should have been a stretch and squash, as Celestia noticed, or rather heard, that thing she kind of has concerns about. Moving on to the next scene, Celestia reacts. Yeah, the TV screen scene, I just reuse that every time I need to play a clip. Saves a lot of time, you know? Anyway, Celestia reacts. Just continues right from the previous scene with Celestia to blinking animations. And then Celestia has a concerned look on her face. The cake moves away. And again, it's another smooth transition from side profile to 3/4 front. And there's also Celestia, if you look carefully, she's still got a cake in her mouth, and she swallows it just as she gets back to 3/4 front view. It's those little details that I really like to add. It's just that those little details are basically impossible to notice in the final product. And there's so many other things that I forgot to do that it doesn't really feel all that great. Also, in case any of you noticed, Celestia's horn shimmering or magic stopped all of a sudden because she's not holding anything up anymore. Next scene. This is Celestia is already getting angry because she was listening to the Mal Bloopers, How I'm Stopping Forever. And in case some of you look carefully, you can see that her mouth is slowly opening up a bit more, and her eyes are, and the reflections on her eye are twinkling, if you want to use that word. And now she's getting angry. She's got fire in her eyes, and she's even got a sharp tooth right there that I can't show quite well because the flash won't let me zoom in anymore for some reason. Oh, that fire effect, by the way, it's actually a template that I used. I even used it later on for Celestia's fire main. And now Celestia activates the cannon. This was one of the first scenes that kind of put this project on hiatus because I wanted to finish this in one weekend. But this had way too many moving parts, way too much animation to it, because it's Celestia stomping the ground to activate her cannon. Look at this. And in case some of you haven't noticed, there's no shaking on this screen right now, but if you look at the camera symbol, that's what's shaking. Kind of an easy way to make Celestia's stomp have more oomph to it than the animation actually has to it, because I do think that her actual animation of stomping the ground was a little underwhelming in the end. But that's a consequence of her having to stay on her throne, which is really kind of small in space from where she stands. In fact, she's not even aligned properly with the perspective that the background has. So yeah, stiff animations like these, that's mostly because of a consequence of not following the perspective. But of course, in case some of you look carefully again, one of the problems about animating Celestia like this is that there's so many other symbols I have to create as she transitions into this angle. Because I have to create a new set of symbols for her legs, not to mention her slippers, a new symbol for her neck teeny, and a new symbol for her crown, and yada yada yada. In fact, I had to create 2 of them at the very least to make the animation look a little smoother than it really is. Oh, to say nothing of her face as well. I'm not even sure if I did it right. You can't see her left eye, but it sort of feels like as if you really should, you know? Okay, this scene. It's a bit hard to notice right here because it's not at the center. In fact, it's at the very end. Starts with the computer, or the computer screen or TV screen, whatever you want it to be. The ground opens, and in case some of you look carefully, everything shifts when I open the ground. In fact, let me lock everything here. The reflection of the entire background is still here while doing this. But as the ground opens, I had to copy paste the entire background that is being reflected to make it work with this floor opening panel. It's one of those little things that I had to obsess over, and it made the project last a lot longer than it needed to be. Anyway, the open panel, and just notice all those details I added that you can only notice for like 4 frames or something. Everything turns pitch black right here, except with the light already out. The light is supposed to signify the window opening on the ceiling, by the way. That's what it's for. The cannon slowly rises out of the panel that was from the ground, and just here on the 120th frame, everything is a lot smoother for me to show because all of the background has been deleted at this point. Anyway, yeah, the panel all the way up there is what's open, and the cannon slowly going like it's being animated. Originally, you can see inside of it, but as it rises out of the ground, you can no longer see inside of it. That's a perspective trick to make it look as though the cannon is shooting into the ceiling. But this is Flash, so it doesn't necessarily really work. Oh, it's actually the cannon firing the TV. I feel I should have added a smoke effect as if fired it, because I don't know. There's something that lacks from the cannon firing the TV screen in the very end. It feels like there could have been a bit more of a boom to it, you know? But then again, I didn't want there to be too much particles blocking the view of the TV going into the sky. Okay, this scene. This scene is another big one that really put this project in a hiatus for a very long time. I dare say that this took me months to finish, even though it only lasts, let's see, 1.4 seconds. This scene lasts 1.4 seconds, and yet it took me months to finish. Not like months of work, as if I was working continuously on it, but every time I tried to tackle this scene, I would put it on hiatus because it would take so long for me to do everything. Because really, see, appreciate the amount of symbols I had to create for every different pose Celestia had to take here. And in case any of you are wondering, the reason this scene is built the way it is because it's trying to follow pose to pose what Oni does in his Ultra 2 animation. Of course, since Celestia is a horse, I had to adjust some things, but still, look at this insanity. Look at how many different symbols I had to create for every pose. I'm going through it really quickly right now, but imagine having to create a different crown. Like, let's just look at a crown actually. Just a crown. So it's on this one symbol right here. There's a huge flash right here. And now, right here, the crown had to be given a completely new symbol right there. And this, I believe this is another new symbol for it to make it look even more angled. Then it's another new symbol right there. And another one right there. Celestia crouches all the way down. And right here, I had to transition the crown into 3/4 back. Look at this. That's just a crown. How much time I had to spend on one part of Celestia. If Celestia was naked, as in she didn't have her slippers or her neck thingy or a crown, this would have taken much less time to do. But because she had those things from the beginning of the animation, I had to follow suit and create a new symbol for each of them every single time. Every single time I had to give Celestia a new pose from a new angle. Consider all of that, and then there's the fire main, which is probably the thing most of you probably noticed when you saw this scene for the first time. It's based on that symbol that I showed you guys earlier in Celestia's eyes, the equestrian fire. I'm a bit disappointed in the end result of Celestia's fire main. It was supposed to be a bit more, like, it was going to have two colors to it and a gradient effect to it. Unfortunately, like, it's not too easy to notice, but unfortunately, Celestia's main, what it is that it's one symbol behind her. And then there's her forelock and her sideburn, if you want to call that. Those are completely separate. You can see right here that her forelocks are sideburn and a bit behind her head right there. Those are completely different from her actual mane. If I had actually done the equestrian, not the equestrian, her mane with that gradient effect as well as the second color, it would have completely ruined the illusion of it following her sideburn, forelock, and general symbols that are supposed to be in front of her. That's why I kept it her mane to one color when it's on fire, because that preserves the illusion. And one last thing before I rant even more, Celestia's wings, they were originally gonna have original symbols. But I did not want to waste any more time on this scene. So if you notice right there, her wing is not in proper 3D. It's just one symbol being slightly like moved around to make it look as if it was 3D. See? If I had my way, if I had the time, I would have done one symbol for every one of these frames for Celestia's right wing, and probably her back wing too, even though you can barely see it. The next scene, Celestia nearing the target. Again, this is very much based on Oni's Ultra 2 animation. I kind of screwed this one up. It didn't take nearly as much time to finish, but I kind of screwed it up because in the Oni's Ultra 2 animation, not only is it zoomed in much more on the character's face, it's also the character, if you look carefully, is slowly, like, you can see the camera moving along the face and going from a three-quarter front perspective to a side profile perspective. I missed that, and I kind of rushed this scene as well. So as a result, Celestia's face looks really, really stiff. If I wasn't being super impatient with the project at this time, I would have definitely added that little transition to side profile into the scene. Oh, and in case you're wondering how I did those little bits at behind right there, those things like this. How I did these is that it's a circle gradient. Like let's see if I can create one right here. Yeah, it's a circle gradient. Just take it and squish it like this, and make it longer and stuff like that. That's how you do this effect that I did right there. Not doing it really properly right now, but yeah, that's pretty much how I did it. And then you just copy paste for effectiveness. See? Just create a new one. Not care about that. And finally, well, actually, no, this is not the final scene, but as far as I'm concerned, it was the final one. The punch. The first 20 or so frames is Celestia slowly nearing the target, even though you can't actually see her in the actual final movie because she's off camera. For the effect of making this look like it's moving really fast in the sky, what I did is that let's see. Yeah. Where is it? The effects. I basically continuously moved around one giant set of these little things right here. That made things a lot easier for me to do in the end. Instead of constantly creating a new one for 20 or so frames, I just did one big one and constantly moved it around like this. Like this. See, I was just constantly moving around for every different frame. Made things easy for me. And just on the paunch right here, it's hard to notice, but Celestia's wings, see, her wings are closed like this. Then, just as she's getting on camera, her wings slightly open a bit even more, and there's actually this effect of the paunch when it connects. Yeah, right here. This is like only 1 or 2 frames. No, actually, it literally is only 1 frame. You can't really replicate the effect of circle gradients in symbols like these. It's just like, I imagine it's possible in some way, but I did not know that way, so I just did this for 1 frame, and I doubt anyone really noticed. Anyway, yeah, Celestia's paunch connects, and then a huge sun blares behind it. Just a camera hit here. Yeah, sorry for the weird effect right here, but that's just the layers, how they work. So this sun is actually supposed to be a reference to Celestia, how she rises the sun in Season 1's Kingdom Hearts Chronicles. The sun itself was actually going to be a direct ripoff of what she was flying in front of, but I thought I would make it more symmetrical in the end. And one last disappointment about this scene, I wanted Celestia's her fire main, to slow down, to really like sell the fact that the action had slowed down, but there was no way for me to make it look good. Making Celestia's fire main was hard enough to begin with. I think 4 times the amount of frames for just this one scene was not something I was ready to deal with. And then it just switches to this final scene, the planet view scene, where it shows the explosion. What my idea of Equestria is. It's just really a generic continent right there. I wasn't really following the Equestria's official map or anything, but I was trying to make it look as though it was coming from Canterlot, which is why this area is brown here, as in supposed to be representing a mountain. But there's no water anywhere. That's probably something I should have done. And yeah, you can see the planet here. I only worked on the areas that were visible on camera, not on the whole thing. It's also based on the planet from not Sonic Rainbow, Double Rainbow. I was actually just gonna take that symbol, but it wasn't quite working out for me, so I just created my own. This took roughly 20 minutes for me to do, by the way. This whole scene, the planet, the clouds, the flash of light, just takes me 20 minutes. Compare that to several months on Celestia's main turning on fire and her jumping into the sky in 1 second. And that's pretty much it. That's me just describing every little scene in depth from Celestia's general workday. How much work I put into every scene, how some little tidbits into everything. All of it. In the end, the entire reason I did this was to make a sequel to Luna Watches the Equestria Girls trailer. But my obsession with adding Celestia doing Oni's Ultra 2 in that animation is what really slowed down the project and almost killed it even. If I do another animation, I'm not even sure if I don't believe it's going to be My Little Pony related. I think I'm going to do something else. If I ever do another animation, and if you guys ever think about doing an animation, here's what I recommend. Do short 5-second scenes. Just do a short 5-second scene, very simple. See how that looks, make it look good, or refine it. Just do something short, 10 seconds or less. If you're trying to do a big project like this, even though this was not meant to be a big project, you're just gonna burn yourself out and get bored of it and move on to something else eventually. Or you're gonna eventually finish it and it's not gonna be that great. Start small and build up from there. And eventually you'll do that big project you wanted to do from the very beginning. And even if you don't, you'll at least have something to show with all those little other projects you did before that. Anyway, someone actually asked me if I was ever going to release the file for this so some of you can tinker with it. I'm not sure if I ever will. If there is enough demand, I guess I'll consider it, but I'll have to like adjust the content inside of it, because there is some stuff in there that I don't really want to share just yet. Probably mostly resources that are exclusively for Under the Moon, the animation project that I failed to finish. But if there is enough demand for it, I will consider releasing it. But besides that, I hope you've all enjoyed this video and all have a very nice day. Check the playlist below for more animations. Bye bye!